talking tonight?
Well, there you go. I think Rodney was talking to himself.
Sorry
By the
about that.
way, we're
Hello.
coming with you in just a moment with Pro Wrestling Inside Now. It's coming up in just a moment. We caught Rodney at the beginning of this show talking. Now, Rodney, what was you saying?
I was saying, and now, ladies and gentlemen, direct from the Pro Wrestling Inside and Out studios in downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee, it is time for another edition of Question and Answers. In other words, we have nothing planned tonight.
And the reason we're off key tonight is because we all went to B's and ate, and we're just
Ooh. Fantastic.
I will tell you, I was trying something different today, okay? And one thing I noticed is these buttons don't work the way the other streaming service works. And I guess I'm just going to have a test run again. So I learned how to use all these little buttons over here that evidently I don't know how to use. Everybody tonight, if you have any questions or you just have comments, you want to talk about professional wrestling, go ahead and send those in. And Jack, I think you have something on Rita Cantrell, one of our insiders.
Yeah, her mother passed away, and we just want to send our condolences out to Rita. She's a great supporter of our show here, and just a great lady, and our sympathies to you.
Certainly, Rita, we will be praying for you. Professional wrestling. Let's talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit first about Wrestle South. That takes place on Saturday, May 8th. Saturday, May 8th, Arab, Alabama. That's at it's the Recreation Center in Arab, right?
Right.
Make sure you go to WrestleSouth.com, WrestleSouth.com, and theirs will tell you everything. Now, I noticed that Orion Bishop is back in professional wrestling. A great professional wrestler. So if you want to go see some great wrestling, get down to Arab. Make a plan. No matter where you're at, make a plan to get yourself there. Any news about Wrestle South that we need to know?
We're working on some big sponsors coming in. Of course, when you have money coming in beforehand, that means you can afford to bring in some extra stuff here and there. And I'm going to tell you, even if you weren't coming for the wrestling, the light show alone is worth the price of admission. This is a huge setup that we have.
All right, so folks, WrestleSouth.com, go there, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. And get to their Facebook page, like their Facebook page. All you have to do is go directly to their website, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. Rodney, anything that we need to talk about before we talk to the insiders?
I want to tell Mickey Mayfield last night, awesome programs. I enjoyed every moment of seeing those. That was really the good old days for me. Dick Slater, the Andersons, Dusty Thunderbolt. I really enjoyed looking at those pictures.
Yeah, that was good to see, and thank you so much, Mickey. And he sent me some more today.
Wow!
So we'll look at those not next Monday, because we're going to start looking at the World Heavyweight Champions next week, and we'll start with the original World Heavyweight Champion that was really recognized, George Hackenschmidt, and we'll talk a little bit about him next week, because that's where wrestling started, and he would be considered one of the first world champions. And then right after that, Frank Gotch was another great wrestler, and so we'll talk about those. We'll start talking about the World Heavyweight Champions, and we'll go all the way through and the last NWA World Heavyweight Champion. So
and regardless of the rumor going around, I was not in the opening match on those cards.
Can you imagine 2-hour wrestling matches back in those days? 2-hour wrestling matches, and you'd always read and they said they were both bloody. And by 2 hours and 26 seconds, the match ended when. So that'd be something. All right, now let's go ahead and see what everybody's got to say. Joel Bateman is with us. Joel, how you doing? Thank you so much for being here. Dr. Philbo Grice, hello, gentlemen. By the way, he is a supporter of the channel, and tonight we answer one of his questions. He asked us to do this question. He said he wants to know the panel's thought on SWE. Is that called Southwest Wrestling Entertainment?
Southwest Wrestling Entertainment, yeah.
He said, I watched some of the programming on YouTube, and they claim to be old school. He wants to know what we think, if it's old school or not. And we'll discuss that on the supporter channel later on. And that will eventually be on YouTube. But I think, what are we about 2 weeks behind or ahead of ourselves on the YouTube channel? So it'll be about 2 weeks before it'll hit there. But if you're a supporter, you get to see it as we're doing it. And maybe some stuff that we talk about after that. So you never know. Mickey Mayfield, hello, insiders and professors. Thank you so much. Stuart Kemp is with us. Hello, all. Carol, that's Carol Baskin, I think, is with us there. Isn't that girl from
Bukowski?
Bukowski. Oh, I'm sorry. I had her messed up with Carol Baskin from, I don't know.
Tiger King.
King. Yes, Tiger King. How you doing, Carol? Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Mark Boyetz, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Anita is with us as well. McNeil, hello to you. Michael Barr is with us. And let's see, Anita and Jack, I'll let you answer this question. Has anyone heard anything about Bob's son, which is Brian James?
Brian came home today. They did the heart cath, and there was no blockages. Wow. So he's just going to have to make some dietary changes, some medication changes. Basically, he had he's been having high blood pressure issues for a while, and he's just going to have to make some lifestyle changes, and he is more than willing to do that, and he gives thanks to everyone for their concern and their well wishes, and of course, he thanks God above all else.
Michael Barr, condolences to Rita and her family. Joe Bateman wants to know if we have any Bobby Heenan stories. Rodney, any Bobby Heenan stories?
We've seen him. I was at a few shows, but we never really met Bobby Heenan. Never really talked to him one-on-one. Dad knew him very well. In fact, when Bobby Heenan came to WCW, he came in, shook Dad's hand, and pulled him across the table. That's about all I know. Bobby was a class act, though, no doubt about it. No matter what he did, and no matter where he went, you knew Bobby Heenan was there.
Yeah. Jack, any Bobby Heenan stories?
No, I got to saw him live, when he was in Georgia for that brief run, and never got to meet him though. But man, what he had! He was awesome.
He had some heat with Ole for some reason. He didn't like Ole Anderson. Now, this is what he says. Now, I don't know. Knowing the professional wrestling back in 1979, that's when Bobby Heenan came to Georgia Championship Wrestling, and he managed Blackjack Lanza, the Masked Superstar, Killer Car Cox, maybe one more.
Austin Idol.
He came to Atlanta. Now, he said that Ole told him that he could stay there as long as he wanted to. I don't know that would have been told to anybody in 1979. I just don't think Ole would have said that. He doesn't seem like a person, because I can hear Ole saying this: if you draw me money, you can stay as long as you want to. But the moment you don't draw me a dime, you're fired. I can hear Ole saying that. So I don't know. Maybe he heard something that knowing Ole, I don't know. Ole might have just been dismissing him. I don't know. Donna Hall is with us. How you doing, Donna? Longtime wrestling fan in Alabama. Hope you are doing good. Simon is with us as well. Simon Thompson. Hi to everyone. Hello, Simon. Kevin Penley has a question. Hey, my question is, when these guys do a dive, does it get to you guys, and it's a chain reaction of like 12 wrestlers. I never get the concept. Oh, the old hold the guy and stand at the that's the dumbest thing.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I would like this spot if they did it about once a year, but they do it at least 2 times every show. And it doesn't mean anything. I think it makes everybody look foolish. There's nothing good about it to me anymore. First time I saw it, I thought, man, that's great. But the 400th time I saw it was $3.99 too many.
Rodney, do you know what he's talking about? They all stand. Yes. They quit fighting with each other so they can all just stop the way. Standing for the guy to come over the top rope and onto him.
Yeah, the Three Stooges are asking for money from that. They created that a long time ago.
Do y'all remember what happened to wrestlers who just stopped in the middle of the ring and waited for stuff? You got fired. That's what happened.
That's right. Too many guys are working with each other. I'm going to be honest. One of the worst things that I remember in 1980, and I really love the Irwins, and I love Scott Irwin, but I thought the superplex even back in 1980 was a move that should never been done. You have to cooperate with the person to do it. It exposed the wrestling business, and it wasn't good for Georgia Championship Wrestling in 1980. I think it helped hurt Georgia Championship Wrestling because it's an impressive move, and it broke many, many boards on the ring. Charlie McGowan used to put up the ring. He'd be mad every time that Scott Irwin hit the guy with it. Impressive move, but realistically, you'd be very hard-pressed to get somebody in that thing. So,
yeah, good wrapping those legs around the turnbuckle there would probably end that.
Here we've got El Mongol Jr. with us.
Hey.
We need to bring you on, sir, and we need to talk to you and get some information on your father and one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, especially in the Georgia area, was over big time. Our father, Ron West, talked about him often, about El Mongo. So, it would be nice to get you on here and talk with you. Greg Dean, good evening, guys. Hello to you. And let's see, Carl Smith. Is that how you say his name? Smith?
Yep.
Hello from Bill Watts's Mid-South Wrestling. Yeah. Great wrestling organization, by the way. Yeah. Michael Trevino, Big Bear from Baco, California. How you doing? Mickey Mayfield asked, there's a couple spots in the batch I sent today featuring your dad, and they are awesome. I have not had the time to look at them, Mickey, but I do want to see those. I wish they had video of that. I wish that we had video of those, and I wish we could play some video of our father here, but that's
yeah, there's certain people have it in for us, so others can. But we simply cannot.
Could be because we have more followers.
Very possible.
Kevin Penley, heavyweight. When Rey Mysterio,
thank you, 170 pounds. That's a heavyweight. We have to remember now, in WWE, there are no heavyweight champions. There are no heavyweight champions. There are no weight champions there. It's all either WWE champion, Universal champion, Intercontinental champion, but they never say heavyweight anymore. Occasionally, Paul Heyman may let it slip out, but very rarely they say heavyweight anymore.
Hey, quite honestly, I'm good with that because they don't stick to any weight
requirements. Yeah.
Dad used to always have a problem with the United States Junior Heavyweight Championship. He said, how can you be a junior and heavyweight at the same time? He used to hate that. He said, shouldn't it just be the U.S. Junior Championship? Yeah. Why are we putting heavyweight on? I don't understand.
And let's be honest, Rip Rogers as the United States Junior Heavyweight Champion. Now, everybody knew that man weighed at least 225. Easy. I mean, easy. He weighed 225.
I remember that. I was in Florence, Alabama. And Frankie Lancaster was going to get somebody. I don't remember who it is at this point, but he was going to get somebody. It was I was working for the Outlaw promotion, and in Florence, Alabama against Continental Championship Wrestling. But we were there, and they came up with this ideal. I think Wendell Cooley might have been booking it. I can't remember, but I believe he was. He said, listen, we're going to have a junior championship match. And he said, Frankie's going to go over. But after he goes over, we want you to say, well, yeah, you won, but you can't win the title because you weigh too much. I said, well, wait a minute. Now let me see if I can explain this. I know this before the match is going on. I know this. Maybe the promotion even knows this, but you want me to go out and do that. You do understand I'm going to get the heat out of this, unless I'm going to be a manager at some point. This makes no sense whatsoever. I'll do it, but it makes no sense. Well, Frankie comes out, and the first thing he does is he goes to jump over the top rope, and his feet hooks that top rope. He goes sailing down on that thing. Well, I couldn't even finish doing the introductions. I laughed all the way through it, and I finally just said, "Oh, ring the bell. They ain't no use to doing that." So he comes out after it's over with, and I say, "Listen, I wanted to. You need to come back here. You need to come back because we didn't have a, back then you couldn't afford to get enough." Microphone cord to get to the ring, so you're at the stage. so I'm at the stage, and I said, listen, I hate to tell you this, but you're not going to get this title tonight because you weigh like 240 pounds. You got to be 225. I said, he got mad. What are you at? I said, well, you know what? You're the one that got in the match. You knew it was 225. Why would you even sign a match for a junior championship if you knew you couldn't win it to begin with? So people start throwing stuff at me, but I'm thinking, I'm certainly not going to I'm going to turn this over on him. So, you're the idiot that did that, not me. But I never understood why would a promotion book something knowing that the guy, I never liked the idea of, and y'all, this is crazy. I'm going to win the World Tag Team titles, but then I'm going to go for the Georgia Tag Team titles and I'm going to win them. And oh, by the way, you can't get them both. That's just crazy. Is that crazy to you?
Well, I mean,
Well,
you can't if the same night. Yeah, I understand you can't hold two titles at one time. I mean, if that's the rule, that's the rule. I mean, WWF had it for years because Bob Backlund actually won with I forget who it was, Pedro Morales.
Yeah, but why would you go after it knowing that?
Yeah. Well, just because they wanted to get the belts off from the I believe they was.
Well, I know it's a booking decision, but I'm just saying on a fan standpoint, it makes your promotion look stupid and it makes you look like an idiot. Yeah. Oh, hey, listen to me. I'm gonna go have a match, and I'm gonna know.
Georgia was not like that. Georgia could actually because Buddy Colt was the Georgia heavyweight champion and the Georgia tag team champions.
Well, they did it with Ole and Gene. We just talked about it last night on that show. By the way, if you didn't watch that last night, go back and watch that on the replay. And it's better to watch it. It's easier to find it on YouTube. It's much simpler to get there. If you've not subscribed to that, go over there because it's much easier to get to. You can just look it up from the date. But we talked about that last night where Ole and Gene was the World Tag Team Champions. They gave up the Georgia Tag Team titles because they won it. So I don't know why would they want to be Georgia Tag Team Champions when they had the World Tag Team titles? But that's that's wrestling business, I guess. Elliot Wiggins, Charlie Smith was the referee. Charlie Smith, yes, he was great. By the way, they're wanting to put Nick Patrick in the WWE Hall of Fame. I think Booker T.
There you go.
Should.
He deserves it. But Charlie was a little upset about that. He believed he needed to be in the Hall of Fame too. And I agree with that. Maybe they could just put a list of referees in the Hall of Fame.
They should arm wrestle for it.
Oh, there you go. Charlie probably beat Nick.
They could also have a gimmick table sell off, and whoever sells the most will win. And Charlie will be number one because nobody beats Charlie.
That's right.
Michael Barr said, where can one find old tapes of wrestling from Florida, Southeast Alabama, old DVR day? They're very hard to find these days.
If they're out there, they're pretty much already on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, so just look it up on YouTube. Do Southeastern Championship Wrestling. Championship Wrestling Florida comes up all the time down there. So Rick Brooks, no other athletes have the mystique of top-notch professional wrestling heels. That's true. That is true.
If they'll do their job.
If they know what the heel is. I don't know if they know what heel. I don't know if they know the difference between heel and babyface these days.
And they don't want to be that way either.
Yes.
They love the idea that now we're a celebrity and playing a role. They love that. They embrace it with every inch of their being. In fact, a lot of the wrestlers back in the day, they would have embraced this with every inch of their being, because why else would you ride up and down the roads with each other when you're supposed to be working with that person in the main event? Why else would Duggan and Steve Williams be hanging out in the bars in New Orleans after wrestling each other at the Municipal Auditorium? Why else would you do it? Yeah. Like I said, they embrace it, and the wrestlers of today also embrace it.
By the way, folks, what we're talking about is when people blame Vince McMahon for wrestling territories going out of business. Not all Vince McMahon's fault. And we can tell you a lot of stories.
Vince took advantage of a failing system.
Yep.
And one that a lot of wrestlers were unwilling to protect.
Yep.
I mean,
especially the 80s wrestlers. That was the problem.
It was absolutely amazing. Like I said, they embraced it. They embraced, and that's where as we have chronicled, the leg slapping began in the 80s. We've chronicled that in a few of our shows. But when you have somebody like Abdullah the Butcher, Mark Lewin, and Frankie Kane riding with each other to the town, caught in the parking lot in the same car, the main event, a cage match in Augusta, Georgia. That tells you everything you need to know. This is Frankie Kane. This is one of the Infernos. Unbelievable.
And they wonder why Georgia Championship Wrestling stopped drawing in 1980. It stopped drawing. It was in the process in 1979, stopped drawing. And we will tell the stories of everything that happened in Georgia Championship Wrestling. We were there. Our father was one of the main people behind Jim Barnett, and it was not a good situation at that time. And I think Jim Barnett did try, but he brought in all kinds of bookers that were just horrible. I saw you mention Dr. Philbo Grice and talk of old school, of SWE versus what is old school. Why not talk about what made it old school and where you would say things changed and where the business? Yeah, we'll talk about that on that thing tonight. The supporter channel, we're going to talk about what old school wrestling is and what it really is. Is SWE old school? Well, we'll talk about that. And we'll see whether or not it's old school or not. And to them, maybe it is, because now old school could be different. You could grow up in the 90s, and old school was from the 90s to the 2000s. So that could be old school to you. Old school to us is really 70s. There was problems starting in the 80s. We saw it, and we saw problems happening in the 80s where the old school mentality was not there anymore. The protection of the wrestling business was not there anymore. And it started in the 80s, and that was the early 80s, especially in 1983. There was some bad things going on in the wrestling business. So, yes, we will do that, Stuart, when we do our supporter show. And by the way, while we're talking about the supporters, Jack, if you will tell everybody about how to become a supporter.
Give me half a second to pull that graphic.
Oh, by the way, let me turn off this one thing. It's right in front of that graphic. So here we go.
Okay, I got it. Right. Support. You can join us for $2.99 a month. 2 weekly Insider Nation live streams only for supporters. Watch us record videos on YouTube on Monday and Tuesdays and interact with us during these recordings. You can there'll be posts for supporters on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Polls to help us decide what we discuss. Weekly recorded video just for supporters posted on Sundays. Personal updates of any upcoming live events, interviews, virtual events, etc. Kind of like what we're doing with Wrestle South, and we got a lot of other stuff coming up too.
Yes, we do. There's a lot of things we're working on, and so might be some big things going on for Pro Wrestling Inside Out, Wrestle South, and we will be you can come here, go to their Facebook page, but we'll let you know everything going on with Russell Saff and other things that we got coming up here. There was something else I was going to say. Oh, by the way, a lot of people ask, well, where does the funds go? Funds go to microphones, webcams.
Eddie needs new earplugs.
Yes. We are going to get us some earplugs. That's one thing we are going to get. And eventually we want everybody to have the same cameras. There's other things we want to do. We'd like to do live versions of this in places where we bring some wrestlers in and talk with them in person, where you could come to a little theater type atmosphere. And so there's a lot of things that we're planning on doing. The COVID kind of stopped us.
Good restaurant would be good for that.
That's right. A good restaurant.
We talked about bees earlier. Perfect.
Mickey Mayfield asked this question. He said, when will Nick Patrick's wrestling program go live in person?
I'm not sure if they're going to do live. Are you talking about live events? I think if that's what you're asking, it's in the works. They're just waiting for, the pandemic and everything to kind of settle down a little bit more where they're more comfortable doing it.
Kevin Barkwell is with us. Hello, guys. Hello, Kevin. George Lambert, our people might know him as Ben Masters. Who's the old guy on there?
That's Rodney.
I was going to say Ben.
I turned heel.
Let's see. Jeffrey T. Capo. Hello from former NWA referee. How you doing, sir? Good to see you on here. Always good to see an old NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, the oldest governing body in professional wrestling.
The world over.
And the world over. That's right. I forgot that part when Gordon would say that. Do you think Mike Rotunda was ever meant to be a main eventer? His tag team partner, Barry Windham, had a program with Flair, but what about Rotundo? Was he a main event material? Rodney?
No.
Jack?
No, I have to agree with that. Now, he was great in the ring, but he didn't have verbal skills. He just he didn't have that personality that you needed to be a top level guy. Now, that's not saying Mike wasn't great. I mean, he was a great guy. I enjoyed watching him work, but no, he didn't have what it took to be, the main event guy.
Barry Windham, on the other hand, did.
Yes, he did.
Windham was awesome. Yes.
Barry Windham was very good. So I would agree with what Jack and Rodney both said about that. By that way, that's Rizbo Turbine. Rizbo Turbine. I'm telling you, that is a great wrestling name if there ever has been. Mark Boan said, do you watch NWA Power? No, I do not. Rodney?
No.
Jack?
I watched it for a while when it first came out, a year or so ago. I know a lot of the guys on there. I liked some of the stuff they did, but they relied too much on comedy stuff, and I don't like that. I don't like comedy and wrestling.
I watched a couple of shows, and like I was talking about before, they put the NWA champion in the first match on there defending the title in that little small place. It made the title look small. It made the champion look small. It wasn't a good look at all.
Yeah, and now they're starting back. I don't know if it started back or they're getting ready to, but they're going to have their program on weekly on Fight TV now. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine who's actually got a job with them, and
Wow.
They're going for a full old school look with him because he was calling me about a butcher. So
Beautiful.
Mickey Mayfield wanted to know if we have any stories on Gary Hart. Very little stories on Gary Hart as far as, he worked in Georgia for that quick time, but I don't think we ever worked with him anywhere else. And Rock Hunter was too young to even really know Rock Hunter. I don't know about you, Jack. You ever meet Rock?
Never met him.
So we don't have a lot of stories about them guys. We just wasn't around them enough to Gary Hart was a very nice man, by the way. We met him a few times, but that was about it. Hello, how you doing? And that was the extent of it. Stuart Kemp, when I saw Bobby Heenan at the, I guess that's the CAC, I think that's the Cauliflower Alley, I think. He just looked so bad with the surgeries and so on. I just couldn't do the pig thing. I understand that. He did look bad. Simon Thompson, what's your thoughts of the New Japan Pro Wrestling title, and would you say and who would you say was a great champion? I have not watched the New Japan Wrestling. Have y'all been watching it?
I haven't kept up with it since COVID hit, but they have a very good program. They have some of the greatest athletes. But I know what he's specifically talking about. They just combined two titles, and they came out with a brand new belt, and everybody's talking about it. It looks like the WWE Divas Championship belt, like a big butterfly type deal. This is a tad different. I liked it. I thought the craftsmanship. I know the guy that makes them. He does splendid work. Maybe not the best choice, but I thought it looked good.
Well, I'm gonna see if I can see that title here. I see it. I see the title. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Now the last championship they had is almost, it's as iconic over there into Japanese wrestling fans here as the NWA belt is. So it's nothing like that. So it's a huge change.
So is that belt primarily for the new market, the United States market? Is that
no? This is I forgot which belt. Maybe it was the world title and the Intercontinental they combined. And I'm just guessing here. I think that's right. But anyway, they combined the belts into one unified championship. So they they got a brand new belt made. So it's not specifically for the U.S. market, but they will be coming with that title to the U.S. market.
Michael Barr asked, Brent Rodney, did either of you get to see Jack Lord wrestle? Yes, we did. And I think 1985 might have been the first time we saw Jack wrestle. He actually came, and he was, if you watched any Continental Championship Wrestling, he was the Masked Infernos there with Mickey Henry, I believe.
Masked Infernos, the Russian Assassins, the Machine. If there was a mask gimmick with a big old boy under it, that was me.
Yeah, so and we saw a lot because we've a lot of stuff that we've done throughout the years since we met Jack. We have been together in doing it, and a lot of things we've done. We talk about the Click. We talk about the Click. Well, we mostly we were the Click with each other ever since we met Jack in 1985. So, Tim Truitt, how you doing, sir? Hey guys, a special hello to you, Brett. Sorry I missed you last time. Was I not here last time?
Yeah, I think Tim just had one eye covered and didn't see.
Oh, I got you. Well, I'm sorry about that. Kevin Barkwell, Bobby Heenan also had Blackjack Lanza in the Heenan family in 1970. Yes, I think he did. Yeah, I believe you're right. He did have him. Victor Nash, hello, everyone. Hello to you. Let's see. Question 2, any Road Warrior stories? That's another two guys that we were around very little. Right as he was, we were there when he first. Now we told the story last night where Animal shot the bird and got in trouble for it on television.
And when he first caught there, when I picked up jackets, he had a specific way you had to hand, because he put his stuff all back on after he won the match or after the match. So you had to hand it back to him in a specific order. I was afraid that I would mess that up, but I got it right. Yeah, he handed it back. He put all of his stuff in his hat, and then he goes back, and then he goes out to the ring with the village people.
Jack?
I never met Animal. I did know Hawk. We ran a show in Huntsville several years back and booked Hawk for the show. And I'll tell you how far back that was the guy he wrestled that night was Brian Armstrong. And this was right before he became Road Dogg, going to the WWE. So, and Hawk was, you just couldn't ask for a nicer guy. Just sat in the back and kicked back and had a great time and just wanted to help everybody. And when the show was over with, he brought beer for everybody, which I don't mind if the show's over with. That's okay. But he knew. I didn't even have to tell him the rules. He knew what was expected.
Let's see. Hello, guys. Sunville Mongo. Well, we already said something about him, didn't we? Let's see. Yep. Michael Barr asked the question, what do you all think about wrestlers being handcuffed to the ring? I did that many times, by the way. We handcuffed many persons in the ring. And got beat to a pulp. Seems like no one could ever find the key to the cuffs. Because that bad guy had the key.
Right.
We
always had to find a police officer to unlock them. And we thought it made more sense to have a police officer to unlock them.
Yeah. Mickey Mayfield wanted to know, Indian leg lock or figure four? Jack, which is better?
I think the figure four, just simply because it's a little easier to put on.
Yeah, that Indian death lock was leg lock's a little hard to put on.
Yep.
Paul Jones used that a lot. I think he actually beat Arn Anderson when he was Jim Verkarakaroki or whatever his name was on there. I think he actually used that to beat him on that show. Rodney, figure four leg lock.
I think leg lock easier to get into. Indian death lock almost impossible to reverse. That's what I've always felt.
Yeah.
But if you got it on and it's right, they should get to the ropes. It's over. And of course, that's how I believe it was. Harley Race beat Terry Funk.
That's exactly how he beat him.
Love this podcast. The first time for me from England.
Hey,
how you doing? Welcome. Thank you so much. We will be getting into a lot of history.
We need to talk about wrestling in England.
Yes,
because it was big. It was big over there. So we need to talk about that. How
Great.
different the concepts were from what the English to the United States brand.
Yeah,
because there was a difference.
I love British wrestling.
Yes. Dr. Philbo Grice. He has it watching old matches from Continental days. Recently, I saw Cactus Jack was in Continental for a while. Does anybody know how long? As long as it didn't go out of business, and I think that was maybe a month later.
Well, he was there during Eddie Gilbert's run. Eddie brought him in, and when Eddie left, he left.
Well, I don't know if it's Eddie Gilbert. I think Robert Fuller's the one brought him in.
I just remember him being there at that time.
Robert liked him. Robert worked with him in USWA, I think. But that it didn't. He wasn't there long. That was at the end of Continental. Let's see. Brad Hunts. What's up, Jack?
Brad's a good one.
Adrian Harper Jr. Hey, guys. Robert D. Block. Thanks for giving insight on wrestling, and thanks you're awesome. I'm here in Portland, Oregon. I've been watching wrestling since 1960. The Owen family.
You saw some good stuff. I'll just tell you right now. It was some great stuff. I was able to pick up some of the Portland wrestling stuff with Buddy Rose. Roddy Piper was there. The Grappler. Good stuff.
Yvonne Burns is with us from Western Pennsylvania. Stuart Kemp, Stampede Wrestling, had the Commonwealth Mid Heavyweight Champion under 225. If over 225, then you can't get the belt. It was announced before on the weights. I just think if you're going to do that, just make it as real as possible, because you will kill your company if you do stupid stuff. It will kill you. It will put you out of business. And the reason I'm telling you that, I've seen businesses go out of business because of bad business practices.
This is the kind of thing that Lee Fields talked about. This kind of thing that we're talking about right here. And when you did too much of it, your crowds just go down the tubes. And then you'd go back. He would take time and he would go back and start from the basics and work it. Normally, Dad said it took about 6 weeks. And I mean, they, heavily enforced the rules. Nothing but straight wrestling for 6 weeks. And back then, the wrestlers were talented enough they could do the interview still to pull the people into the arena. And as time went by, every week, those crowds just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Then in 6 weeks' time, they do something, and you right back to the top, selling out.
Let's see. Someone on another page I'm on asked, another page? Mickey, what in the world? on another page. No, anyway, he says, asked, does anyone have a picture of the junior heavyweight title in Georgia Championship Wrestling? There's a picture of Buzz being champion, but no belt shown. Was there a belt? Yes, there was, but wasn't it used and they just put a little thing over top of it? Was another belt?
No, it was the Georgia Junior Championship. It was blue, kind of like the United States Junior Championship. Same design as like the tag team titles and the national belt. And later on, they because the TV belt got where it looked terrible. So they transferred the TV belt, the Georgia Junior belt, to the TV championship. And then they put a red square right over the top where it said Georgia Junior Champion. And that was the end of that. Georgia Junior Championship didn't last very long.
No. Kevin Sullivan, I think, might have been one of the first people that had that.
Sullivan was actually the junior champion and the TV champion. That's how they merged the belts together, and then they just dropped the TV title. I mean, not the junior title, kept the TV title.
How many wrestlers from the South League, let's say Continental Championship Wrestling, became promoters? Well, I know Eddie Gilbert did. Paul Heyman.
Johnny Rich promoted some.
Yeah.
Did Steve Armstrong promoted some shows too, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Thinking he did.
I think a lot of guys. Yeah, a lot of guys wound up promoting shows. Some didn't do it very long. Some did.
Richard Hood, he is late. Sorry, I'm late, fellas. That's all right. We know you will watch the replay and then let us know. I get some great stuff from Richard, by the way, some great stuff, and I want to share some of that stuff on our Facebook page. But he gives us some great ideas too for stories and stuff like that. Just tremendous. Mike Chioda should be in the Hall of Fame. I agree. I think he should as well. Glenn Shelton said should be list for refs instead of star. Do one show. Yes, we could do that. Do a show on referees. Terrence Hardy is with us. You can't have a major title in any other title. Yes, that was the rule, but I just don't understand why you went for the title if you you knew you couldn't have both of them. Let's say Mickey Mayfield, who had more partners turn on them, Dusty or Thunderbolt? I think it was Dusty.
It depends. Yeah.
Yvonne Burns asked, who was the NWA representative? Earl Wilburn. He had to make an executive decision on a 6-man tag match in World Class. I don't know. Who was Earl? I never heard of Earl Wilburn. Yvonne, I'm sorry we couldn't help you with that, but we don't even know who that is.
Maybe it was just a name they come up with.
It could have been. It could have been one of those fictitious NWA representatives.
Sandy Scott was the NWA representative in Mid-Atlantic. So,
one of the greatest heels, the Iron Sheik. Yes, he was.
Great guy too. Great guy.
We'll have to tell a story about the Iron Sheik when he went to wrestle for an independent show, and they told him to get some good heat. Get some good heat when you're out there in the on the mic. Oh, yeah, I do that. Oh, yeah, I get to eat. We'll have to tell that on the Sporter Channel because we can't tell that here. But we will tell that story. Michael Barr asked Jack Brent Rodney, do any of you recall when a wrestler had to go through the state they lived in and get a signed stamp card to become a wrestler, referee, and a promoter?
Still have to do that in Alabama. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to live here, but if you're going to wrestle here, you got to have a license.
There's a guy, Michael Trevino said the name Alex Lucia. Do you know who that is, Jack? Was one of the best old school indie heels there was, bar none.
Seems like I've heard that name.
Don't know that Abdullah the Butcher got fined behind that.
I believe he meant fired.
Fired, yes, yeah, he did get fired.
Yeah, there was no fine to it. He was fired. He Mark Lewin, thank God, and Mephisto. All were fired. And as I told Ole the night, because when he was in Cleveland, I told him, I said, the greatest moment of my life is when you fired Mephisto, Mark Lewin, and Abdullah. And I said, I'm sorry you didn't get Kevin Sullivan while you were at it. Well, why? I like Kevin. I said, well, I didn't. He was terrible. Did you ever watch his matches? Those were sorry. Did you ever wonder why you couldn't draw anything in Carrollton? That's because he was on the main event.
Oh, man. That was
awful. still to this moment, you
Mm.
can still smell the stench from those matches in California by the photo. Still, everybody thought it was a landfill. No, that's just Kevin Sullivan.
I thought this might come up, so I put a scented candle on before we went on the air.
Wish the curtain was never pulled back, Brian. I would agree with you on that. I wished it wasn't either, but I wish they just some wrestling company would take wrestling seriously for once.
Yeah,
that would be nice. Take it as a serious athletic contest and not a comedy. If somebody would do that, they might go back to 4 million people because they'll go, well, we did that with Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. No, they at that point they were laughing at Vince McMahon, not with him. There's a difference when Steve Austin would do the stuff they did with him. He was a heel getting beat up. They did not be successful because of comedy skits. That is not the reason the Attitude Era was that. It was because you had personal issues that made it. Comedy does not. It's not. If you're going to be a comedy, go full out. If comedy could have worked, Rushlicious would still be on the air. Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling would still be on the air. Powerful Women's of Wrestling would still be on the air. Hee Haw would still be on the air. And those things are not on the
Hee Haw was a wrestling program? I didn't know that.
Well, Hee Haw and Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, I think might have been the same people producing
we had
that.
the same writers, I'm sure.
I didn't mean to get into a tirade right there.
You've offended the Hee Haw fans, I can tell you that.
I know.
I've made mention of Hee Haw before.
Well, send the letters to Rodney. He's the one that said it.
Well, I said it. I mean, I've said it before, and I got hate mail.
I love Hee Haw, so I just leave it at that.
Well, at least Hee Haw was a comedy. That's what it was supposed to be. Does anyone have a tape of Paul Jones, promoter in a race with Shirley?
If they did, the tape ran out before the race finished.
Dr. Phil Bulgrice said, great point. I don't know if people know the difference between heel and babyface. I noticed one of NXT upcoming main events involved two heels. Both were booed on recent episodes. It's a very hard matches to have. It just, people don't get behind it.
Well, excuse me. That's because your two people in the ring did not know what they were doing.
I saw many things in the 80s in Dothanama that gave wrestling a bad image. Yeah. We'll talk about those. Blame all you want, promoters of that era, Vince McMahon, but you don't need to look no further than the mirror. And that's all we got to say about that. Glenn Shelton. Funds go for upkeep, equipment, and care. Yes, that's where it goes. Now, last month we lost $19, but hey, other than that, we're doing all right.
Let's correct that. You lost $19.
Yeah, I lost $19. But hey, I don't mind it. I don't do it. We don't do it for the money. None of us do this for the money. It's not about the money. It's just unfortunately some things have to be paid for, and so we don't do it for the money. Okay, here we go. As long as there's no pickles or Dr. Pepper, Victor Nash. We're gonna do a couple of more, then we're gonna have to get off of here. But Glenn Shelton said that the NWA Power is back.
Okay.
Kevin Penley said, "How do you feel about teleporting wrestlers on W?"
They have to be doing that, Kevin, because it just seems like everybody. I think they're just changing tights. I think it's all the same guys.
It's possible.
Oh, I don't even want to go there. That's. Do you guys remember when Jake the Snake DDT Ricky Steamboat on the concrete floor? He could have done, yeah, because he really hit that floor.
Yeah, Ricky said he was hurt bad from that.
That was pretty brutal. George Lambert said, "Tell me about a story of Mr. People. Don King used to host Making Championship Wrestling.
I remember that.
When was that show taped? It was on Tuesdays, wasn't it?
I believe it was on Wednesday because Macon was on Tuesday night. So it had to be on a Wednesday morning at the TV station there. Don King, he also did the ring announcing at the Coliseum. He had if I'm not mistaken, he had a British accent, if I'm not mistaken. Very good. He was partner with Jim Carlisle, Brent's favorite. commentator of all time.
Tim said I was having that's right. I was having problems last time. You remember I had to go off and come back on, and now that's Tim. When you get old, you will forget that happened. You'll never see. That's the reason you can get in arguments with people as you get older, and you don't remember them, so you don't know that you were mad at them.
Listen, I don't talk about age because Tim. I remember watching Tim wrestle when I was a kid.
All right, guys, we're going to have to get off of here. I'm sorry we didn't get through everybody. We had a couple of people. Zach Clay came on and was talking about David Mullins. We had a bunch of questions, and we'll try to get to them next week. Why don't we just next week, and we'll pick up from those, and then we'll talk more. We'll just do another question and answer thing, because I think this went pretty good tonight. Not to have anything to talk about. And Jack, anything we need to talk about before we leave tonight?
ProWrestlingTees.com. Go look for our store, Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Grab you up a t-shirt, help support the cause, and look very, very stylish, especially in that bomber shirt.
That's right. And I've got one of those Pro Wrestling Inside and Out shirts on. That's the right.
And now this is my Bill Eadie Mass Superstar shirt I got from Pro Wrestling Tees. They have tremendous shirts over there. I mean, some of the best graphics. You have to go past that first page, though, because that's all AEW and all current guys. But there's some legends on there that could use the support, and great stuff on there.
All right, Rodney, anything you want to talk about before we leave?
Oh, that's it.
Well, thank you all so much. We certainly do appreciate it. We are growing by the week on Facebook, and it's because of you. Thank you so much for sharing on Facebook. Thank you so much for sharing our videos and talking about what we're doing on YouTube. We certainly do appreciate it. We grow somewhere around 1,000 followers, insiders a week now, and we certainly do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And for the supporters that are actually the Insider Nation, the $2.99 a month, we are on our way over there. We're going to talk World Championship Wrestling. We're going to talk a little bit about what old school wrestling is, and if anyone's doing old school wrestling today. Until next week, and I think we're going to start talking about, I don't know what days they are. We are going to start talking about the World Heavyweight Champions, and we're going to start with George Hackenschmidt, and we'll tell a little bit of story about him. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next episode of Pro Wrestling Inside Now.